everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Hard Truth. Thank you so much for watching. Well, it's Friday, y'all. I know you're having an awesome week by the simple fact that you're still here. Ha! Dig that. Listen, at yesterday's hearing, Brian Kohberger, who is charged with quadruple homicide, was yawning in court. Something is off here, folks. Something is way off. Either this guy is the calmest person I've ever come across, or there's some kind of mental challenge lurking in his midst. I'm telling you. Speaking of court hearings, what about this circus show we saw yesterday? Judge let the attorneys argue about the grand jury motion, wasting time and taxpayers' money, knowing all along he was going to throw it out on a technicality. Which leads me to my next question. Does Ann Taylor know what she's doing? All right. I don't know, y'all. Maybe you can help me figure it out. Go ahead and grab that coffee or a nice cup of tea as we begin our story. Yesterday, I was shocked and appalled to see Brian Kohberger yawning in court. So now I'm confused. Should we believe his Donald Trump finger steeple body language or his yawning as a reflection of his state of mind right now? Because the two definitely don't go together. There are only three reasons why a defendant would be yawning in court. Number one, fatigue or lack of sleep. Possibly the defendant is taking some sort of sedative at night and then they're still feeling the effects of it the next morning. Number two, mentally detached, possibly due to some mental challenge such as dissociative identity disorder. And number three, arrogance or mocking the court. By yawning, the defendant is essentially giving the court the middle finger. All right. So I want to look at quickly options two and three. Sometimes people mentally or emotionally detach from their situations as a coping mechanism. This could explain how calm Brian has appeared since his arrest. But in cases of extreme detachment, the person could be mentally challenged with something like dissociative identity disorder or DID. In this case, according to the Cleveland Clinic, the person displays multiple personalities, and these identities control the person's behavior at different times. The third reason is arrogance or mocking the court, and that's when the defendant is yawning on purpose. All right? The reason for the yawning is to show how little the legal proceeding mean to him or her. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure out why there was a hearing in the first place. If the grand jury motion to dismiss was no good due to a technicality, why couldn't Judge just say that and throw it in the trash? Instead, we had not one but two hearings in one day, as if there was actually something to hear when it wasn't. I feel like everything that happened yesterday was just for our entertainment. And everybody in the courtroom, including Brian Kohberger, was just playing some role. According to Judge, the grand jury motion was dismissed because Ann Taylor filed it prematurely. Okay, so now we have to decide whether this was an unintentional fumble or if Ann Taylor is playing her role as a team member for the state. As I said before, public defenders face agency problems. Should they do what's best for the state and work towards a promotion? Should they do what's best for the client as a moral duty? Or should they do what's best for themselves, which is to not concern themselves with the outcome and just prolong the proceedings and rack up as much publicity and cash as they can? I mean, this is a decision that all public defenders have to make. And so at the beginning of this case, I kept hearing that Ann Taylor is this high powered lawyer who has successfully handled these types of cases before. If that's the case, how could she make this kind of simple mistake? All right. Is this case too much for Ann Taylor to handle? And where were the other attorneys on her team when she was fumbling the ball? Were they somewhere yawning? Or is it that none of them know what they're doing? I mean, this is bad. This is something's off about the whole hearing situation yesterday. Something is wrong. You know something is wrong when the Brian Kohberger's innocent crew has already moved on to discussions about Ann Taylor setting the case up for appeal. That means Ann Taylor is literally playing defense instead of offense. Instead of challenging the prosecution to present its evidence and witnesses, you know, you claim he did it, prove it. She's taking hits. Instead of acting, she's reacting. Everything the prosecution is dishing out, you know, this man has been in jail for almost a year now. His trial could set him back, what, 3 to 5 years? And then the appeal process could take another 3 or 4 years off his life, if not more. And that means even if he's innocent, he can spend 10 years in jail trying to clear his name. And half of that time, he'll have to spend on death row, okay, after he's convicted. Who would expose themselves to this option rather than a speedy trial? When the judge asked Brian Kohberger if he was okay with waiving the right to a speedy trial, he said absolutely. Now I'm going to ask you what you think about all of this, okay? Am I being too judgmental about this? Am I looking at it the wrong way? Because as far as I see it, it's becoming a clown show and everybody's in it for themselves. Everybody's on the clock getting paid. And meanwhile, the time Brian Kohlberger spends in jail is stacking up almost to the point to where whether he did it or not, he's doing the time already. You know what I mean? Okay, what do you think about this one?